Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to another match review where Chelsea beat Lincoln by a narrow 2-1. And this is the match reaction. I'll be giving my raw, open, honest thoughts about the game. So make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you're new around here. We are on the road to 10k. Smash up the like button and make sure we can get this out to more people. You can even use the hype feature, which is the new YouTube feature, which helps push this out to a bigger audience. Now, Chelsea survived today. We survived. We got through. It's a positive. And do you know what? I could quite easily come on here and just rant about all the negatives of today because honestly, there is a lot. List as long as my arm. But for me, the biggest thing right now is the fact that we got through and we got a win over the line. Was it convincing? No. We survived. We genuinely did. Now let's talk about this first half because it's a running theme that defensively we are abysmal. We're horrid. It is painful to watch. The mistakes from Jorgensen. Couldn't catch a cold, couldn't catch a ball, couldn't catch a cross. Superman punches that he's taking out his own players, missing the ball. I don't mind him taking out his players if it means it gets rid of danger. It's what he's meant to be there for, commanding his box. This guy was atrocious. Enzo Maresca's already come out and said, it's his first game, he's a bit shaky. Fair enough. But at this level, professional football, you're meant to get them nerves out of your system in the first sort of 15, 20 minutes of a game and settle in. He just didn't look like he settled in at all throughout the entire game. Credit to Lincoln. We have to say this. Credit to Lincoln. From the first whistle, they pinned us back with an intense pressure, hitting the post in the first 1 minute and 30 seconds. We just couldn't deal with them. Defensively, we had no answers for them. Now, yes, we kept the ball out and we managed to kind of at least attempt to get it away, but nowhere near the standards that we needed to be. And that's to be expected to a degree. When you are the away team, it's a cup game, it's a huge game for Lincoln. They want to obviously come at us at home, the crowd's behind them, generating an atmosphere in a smaller stadium, and things you absolutely love to see in the lower league, lower divisions and the lower teams, right? But for Chelsea, we just couldn't get to grips with the game. Misplaced passes, defence was so shaky, we couldn't string 3 or 4 passes together for big spells that first half. There were occasions where players like Buonanotte, who I felt played very, very well today. Gusto had some good moments. Felt like Fofana was a little bit shaky, but also had some good moments. Chalobah, shaky, but also had some good moments. Enzo Fernandez, for me, was very poor tonight, and it's not to get on his back. I'm a fan of Enzo Fernandez, but today he just looked really off it. And we have to talk about that first goal. We have to talk about that first goal because Enzo Fernandez, for me, is the reason that goal went in. Now, you could argue it was Chalobah who didn't make the connection with the ball. In my opinion, I think it's Enzo for trying on that very, very dangerous ball across your own box. He sold him short. He sold Chalobah short, in my opinion. And Chalobah could have tried, come to meet it. And you could see that he kind of hesitated because he thought the ball should have been coming a bit longer and it wasn't. It's then intercepted by a very high and intense Lincoln press. Laid it off to the Lincoln striker who, sublime finish, tucks it past Jorgensen, and deservedly they go 1-0 up after hitting the post and peppering our goal. They had something like 16, 17 shots across the whole game, and we had like 13 with a few on target, whatnot. And obviously the game did change. We were growing into the game very, very, very slowly. But that first half, it looked like the players didn't want to be there. It looked like they thought that they were above it. They were leggy. They were making mistakes. And again, it was just a continuation of the last few games where Chelsea have been very, very shaky at the back, and it's quite concerning. However, you can see how frustrated Enzo Maresca was, and at half-time, we go in 1-0 down, not really to my surprise based on how we were performing. If anything, it could have been 2 or 3 for Lincoln. I think they were hard done by in that sense that they could have just been a bit more clinical, but they thoroughly deserved to be ahead, and they thoroughly played us off the park for large spells of that first half. We were very slow to react. We did get some patterns of play going at times in the first half, but nothing that was convincing. Nowhere near the standards we needed to be. Now, at half-time, there were no changes. And I don't know what Enzo Maresca said to them in the half-time team talk, that he must have stuck a rocket up them. Because within the first 5 minutes in that second half, bang, 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 Chelsea are 2-1 up. A fantastic finish from Tyreek George, who in my opinion I thought was very poor in that first half. Didn't get a lot of service, didn't get many touches on the ball. However, credit to him, because that shot was out of pure frustration, in my opinion. Pure frustration of the ball bounces to him and he just hits it. Doesn't even look at the goal. Fantastic finish. A rocket to go in off of the post. Very, very good finish. And what I really liked about it is the mentality. He didn't celebrate. He ran straight to the goal line to get the ball and went straight to the halfway line and put it down and was like, job is not done. And I absolutely love that style of mentality. That mentality is exactly what we need at this club, especially right now where confidence is through the floor. And we were back into the game instantly. We started that second half with such better intensity, putting some passes together. And then a few minutes later, Tyreek George gets an assist. Now, Buonanotte, I thought was so impressive today. He is so technically gifted with the ball at his feet and he's always trying to find passes. And I felt like we saw more of the physicality that Enzo Maresca was asking for from Buonanotte across this game. And when he come off, I thought, you know what? He's got to be up there as one of the players of the match, in my opinion. And his goal, twinkle toes in terms of that technicality, looked good link up with Tyreek George there. A little bit of luck because it bounced between a few Lincoln players and a tidy little finish to knock it past their keeper to make us 2-1 up. And again, 50 minutes on the clock, the job was done. We turned it around so quickly, which goes to show that this team is well more than capable of doing this, but we just started this game so poorly. And we need to get out of the habit of starting to play football when we go 1-0 down. It's such a dangerous habit to get stuck into. Habits are hard, like bad habits are hard to get out of, we know this. Good habits are hard to stick to, but good habits, when they're consistent, are unbelievable and they're game-changing. This second half, we played a lot better, but we did get complacent, second half of the second half, and we started giving Lincoln more chances, and unfortunately for them, they weren't very clinical, so we can benefit off of that. And Gusto had a few good moments of the game throughout the spells of the first half and second half. Jorgensen baffles me. If you've got Sanchez making silly mistakes like he did at Manchester United, and then you have Jorgensen coming in who, again, couldn't collect the ball. He made some saves. Positioning was questionable. He wasn't commanding of his box. He just wasn't convincing at all. And as a Chelsea fan watching that, it was painful at times. And it's not me trying to be negative. This is me trying to be as fair, as balanced as possible. When it comes to Jorgensen, it comes to the back line, we were better marginally in the second half as a defensive back line. But again, as soon as Maresca injects some of that experience with the likes of Cucurella coming on and other players, Neto, for example, everything completely changed. I feel like Jamie Gittins was good in spells in that first half, really trying to create something on the right-hand side, which is something very different. Garnacho, I felt like had a bit of an average game, trying to do things, trying to create things. And I also saw that Gittins and Garnacho swapped wings midway through the first half, which did change things a little bit. Something that I'm a big fan of when it comes to your wingers, if they can play both sides, is interchanging during the game to keep the opponent's fullbacks on their toes of how they can defend against this fullback for 20, 25 minutes for a half. It keeps their brains ticking, essentially. And I really like to see that. And I like that Maresca implemented this with these two players. I mean, overall, we survived. It wasn't a convincing performance, but we take it. And again, we take it. I take those. We go into the next round and it does a world of good for our confidence. It also showcases that we can do things while our confidence is through the floor. This game was essentially just getting it over the line, getting into the next round, because if we'd have lost tonight, mate, the noise and the volume of that noise would have gone to 11. It really, really would. And, I was doing a live watch along here. Thank you, shout out to you guys for swinging by. Internet is back. We are on it. And I really do appreciate you guys sort of persevering through that. And also over on TikTok as well. And, some people were just saying, like, this is, Maresca needs to go and, these players need to go. And I know that we get angry and we're reactionary as fans. But if we had have lost tonight, mate, the noise would have gone to 11, and I don't know if I could have dealt with it, to be honest. Do I think that Maresca needs to go? Of course not. We're still backing this guy. He can still do a very good job, and he did a very good job last season. This team is just going for a very tough period, and this is where we need to start backing the team. Of course, we're not happy with the performances in recent weeks. Of course we're not. I'm not trying to justify that. And we should be critical of those and praising players for when they did good. And if I've missed anyone, I do apologise. But I felt like today it was definitely a game of two halves. But there were large spells of this game where Chelsea just weren't good enough or weren't up to the standards. And Lincoln took advantage. And I kind of feel for them in a way, because as a neutral, you would have been rooting for Lincoln because they played so incredibly well. They just couldn't keep up the intensity of the press. But the fact that Chelsea just kept giving them chance after chance, and Jorgensen completely missed a cross, hit a Lincoln player's foot, and unfortunately it didn't go anywhere near the net. It went straight up in the sky. Because if it had connected and gone towards a goal, it would have been 2-2. Because Jorgensen just completely missed the cross. Now again, I don't want to just come on here and crucify Jorgensen. I just want to make it abundantly clear that our goalkeeping position is just a mess. Whether it's Jorgensen, whether it's Sanchez at this moment in time. So I'm hoping that Chelsea can really pull it together. Really pull it together. I thought Esteval came on, didn't change the game, but was looking to try and do things, and I thought he was fairly decent in what he was doing. He didn't tear any trees up, but he wasn't poor. Neto was really good when he came on and really driving the team forward. I think Andre Santos had a relatively decent game. Gets booked very easily. I like the fact that he's aggressive, but he gets booked far too easily and sometimes too early in the game. But there is a strong contention that Santos should be starting against Brighton, in my opinion. He played very well. And again, Chalobah, I don't think he played fantastic. Fofana, I don't think he played fantastic. I think Hato had a very good game, in my opinion. I wouldn't say it was leaps and bounds above everyone else. You can still see he is adjusting, but it was nowhere near as poor as the other three in that back line, in my opinion. Gusto had some good moments. Kept trying to do this flick round the corner. If it worked, it was great. If it didn't work, he looked like an idiot, and then Linker on the counter. I just think we were rusty. There was a lot of heavy rotation from Maresca. Now, I'm a fan of rotating your squad, especially, you've got to utilise the players you've got for the amount of games you've got across this season. But it seems like Maresca goes overboard and he over-rotates for no reason. And that's where we find that we have a bit of a chemistry issue with a lot of these players that haven't played together for a while. Where is it overestimating the abilities of this squad? Is it underestimating the opponent? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe Maresca goes out and says, do you know what? These are capable of doing the job, which we are, in my opinion. I think when you looked at that lineup, more than enough to get the job done. But again, I think we're looking at it in rose-tinted glasses in a sense that a lot of these players haven't played together. They're still gelling. So there are going to be misconnections. There are going to be mistakes happening. So I don't think it was the end of the world. I do think it was a very painful watch at times. But like I said, the ultimate thing for this was getting it over the line, and I'm grateful and I'm happy that we've managed to get a win after this horrendous week of football, and we can hopefully shut the door and we can move past this, move on to Brighton at the weekend, where I'm not oozing full of confidence for this game, but at least we've got the win under our belt. We rested some key players like your Caicedos, etc. So hopefully we can start a strong lineup and we can get back to winning ways, and we can, use this as a springboard, essentially. But those are my thoughts and opinions on the game. Lincoln 1, Chelsea 2. We do go through to the next round. I feel like the academy players played well when they came on. A few misplaced passes here and there, but overall it was really good to see them getting minutes. Do you agree with my post-match reaction or disagree? And let me know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding the game. I'm very curious to have a conversation and know your thoughts. Now, if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one, and I mean that, you're a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure to click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.